Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge area in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from the Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Neil Harden. I'm chairing today's panel. With me in the committee room is Robert Belenke, and via Zoom is Faye Branson. The recording secretary today is Jason Robertson, and the assessor is Robert Pontanilla. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment rule in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by council and is independent of it in the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order to be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions the applicant may have, then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You'll receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing item 1 on our docket today. Mr. Robertson, please affirm the assessor's and applicant's testimony.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Roddy Pontanilla.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please stand.
I'm so sorry.
Yes. Please state your full name.
Mark Zachanovich.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you.
All right, so the only item remaining on today's docket is 201 Henderson Highway. So, Mr. Assessor, you can begin.
Okay, thank you for that. So the file that we're currently speaking about is 22-633. The roll number is 1408-316-0100. The address is 201 Henderson Highway. The 2023 assessed value had gone out at $833,000. And this has been labeled as a commercial retail store, CMRST. We have an actual year built of 1973 and an effective year built of 1980. We do have a total leasable area of 4,649 square feet. And it looks like we have a basement area as well of 2,352 square feet. So if I can direct your attention to page 2, I have included a pad eye view image of the subject property in question. On page 3, I have included a overhead view of the subject property, so we can see that the building is in the northwest corner of the parcel. On page 4, I have included the north-facing view and the west-facing view of the subject property under our pictometry. And then on page 5, I have included some Google Street View images from the 2021 map overlay of the subject property. So we can see that it's split into two. We have a restaurant on one side, the subway, and then we have it looks to be a retail space on the other side there. We We do have some income and expense information from the subject, so we're okay there. And then we do have 2 sales on file. We have a sale from 2003 for $195,000, and then an older sale from 2001 for $200,000. As well, we do have a lease on file for the subject property. We do have Subway as the tenant there, and we do have a lease for 1,483 square feet at $22 a square foot. On page 7, I have included my comparable market data information. So I have included leases from within the market region, mostly where they were from on Henderson Highway. And we do have a range in rents ranging from $10.56 at the lower end all the way to about $23.47 at the higher end. So we do have 2 income streams for the subject property. The first one we have here on page 8, this is the Subway. So we do have it listed as a fast food tenant at 1,483 square feet at a modeled rent of $21.90 per square foot. So it looks like we're under what's actually being stated. And then we do have a vacancy of 6%. An expense rate of 3% and a shortfall of $8 per square foot. That's all model driven. And then we have a modeled cap rate of 5.70% for an overall value of $507,000 for the restaurant side. And then on page 9, we have the income stream number 2, which is the retail component of the subject property. So we do have a retail space of 814 square feet at $13.21 per square foot. And then this is where we have the C9 leasable basement premise at 2,352 square feet at $6.46 a square foot. Following that, we do have a 6% vacancy, a 3% expense, and a $7 shortfall, all model parameters, which then gives us a modeled cap rate of 6.85% applied for an overall market value of $326,000. On page 10, I have included the income value summary of the subject property, so you can see both streams listed on the right and then the summary listed on the left. And we can see that overall we have a blended cap rate of 6.15% as a whole. On page 11, I do have included the capitalization rate study information that we include in our briefs, and we can see where the retail section is there, that we do have several property types within. Sadly, we don't have the commercial retail store, but the closest would be a strip mall. And then we have our 20th and 80th percentile between 6 and 6.8%. On page 12, we have a Municipal Assessment Act excerpts. And then on page 13, and taking us to the end of our brief, we have the subject's income and expense mailer information. And that is my presentation.
Okay, Mr. Applicant, do you have any questions of the assessor?
Yeah, so I'm a little bit, being the first time that I'm doing this, I don't get to see his information prior to coming in, right?
You did have an exchange 2 weeks prior.
During the evidence exchange, you would have been submitted his evidence.
I didn't.
Same evidence that he was presenting.
Okay, I did not see his evidence. I apologize. So for some reason or not, I did not see his evidence. So I'm just kind of going off of what you have to say right now.
So it was sent to your shaw.ca account, ZACHANOWICH at shaw.ca.
Okay.
I have it sent on the 25th of November.
Okay. Okay, I will have to check where that went. I just did not see that. So I apologize. I didn't realize that I would be expecting that to come.
If the panel wishes, or if there's concern, we can reprint it. I mean, that is an option, and so he has it in front of him. Mr. Chairman,
Do you have it in front of you, Mr. Appellant? There.
I can print a copy if we take a brief recess.
Okay, let's do it in the interest of fairness. Have them have a copy of it.
That's going to be tough for me to talk to, but I can do my best, and I will try to present, try and explain the situation that property is in based on what I see. I've had zero prep time. That's the only drawback to all of this. In which case, if in the event I don't properly, I guess, present myself to the board, I would probably have to appeal if there wasn't a strong enough evidence presented on my behalf. Correct?
You always would have the right to appeal any decision this board makes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, if I could get a printed copy, and what I'll try to do for everyone is review it as quickly as I can to provide the feedback. I do apologize. My only guess is that might have gone to a trash email. I don't know, or I just didn't see it, which is rare. We usually don't miss stuff like that. It's my wife and I who both monitor that email, so I'm kind of surprised I didn't see it.
Okay.
Because I do apologize, Robert. I would have been able to actually talk to a lot of your numbers. I know you were talking about basically a $326,000.
Sorry, can I just interject? It's actually Roddy, not Robert. Just so you're aware.
Roddy? Okay, I apologize, Roddy.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to set the record straight there.
So based on the 800, can I ask you just some questions right now prior to me seeing the evidence?
It's up to the chair. They're in charge of that.
Yeah, I would wait for the secretary to come back with the presentation so you can view it, and then we can do with all the questions at the same time. Okay, we're back live again for the applicant's questions. So you may proceed then with your questions of the assessor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can I say Roddy? Okay. Roddy, so of course, my concern is I feel that the property has been overassessed based on the evidence that I've provided, based on the offers to purchase that have come in. So you in your summary of the property assessment, and I can completely see how you're coming across this. But I want to just understand how you received a $507,000 valuation on the 1,483 square foot side, the subway side, because at that evaluation, I mean, the potential income listed is $32,000 based on the property taxes of $20,500. That puts the estimated property tax for that side, just that side, to be approximately $13,666, which is virtually 47, almost 50% of the total revenue generated by that side of the property, which would put, without question, this property into a negative cash flow, which it has been. This property hasn't paid taxes or made money over the last number of years, and so I'm just trying to understand how you would get to the 507.
All right. Well, if you look at page 8 of my brief, I'll give you a second to get there.
Yeah.
So on the income stream, we do have it listed as a fast food restaurant, which based on our review, it's a Subway, right? So they do quick food and quick takeout. We have 1,483 square feet, and we have a modeled rent of $21.90 a square foot. So that modeled rent would have been, done with all the inputs that are done within the market region, after the analysis of all the income and expense mailers that we receive from all the buildings within our portfolio, and then it would have been modeled at that rate. You can see on page 6 of my brief, I have included what we have on file for the Subway lease. So the Subway lease does have an area of 1,483 square feet. So we have the same square footage as what's being declared for the Subway, and then we have a net rent of $22 a square foot. So I took a look at the 2020 mailer. So if you go to page 15 of my brief, and you might have to crane your head sideways, or since you have the physical copy in front of you, you can just turn the paper. So I'll turn mine so I can read it properly. And so we do have on file, we have 1,483 square feet declared. We have a lease from 2019 to 2024, so it overlaps the period that we're speaking about, the economic period we're talking about. And we do have 1,483 square feet at $2,718.84 a square foot for a monthly rent. So I did some analysis on that, and that value gives us an annual rental value for the subject of, just give me 1 second here, I have some, so it gives us an annual rental value of $32,626.08. That's the annual rental value that's being declared. So if you go back to my brief, I just got to open it up here again. And if you go back to my brief, and if you go back to page 8, which was the subway's income stream, you'll see that the model is predicting $32,478 for the annual rental value. And that's as opposed to what's actually being declared of $32,626.08. So that's where that value gets derived from. From there, it goes into an income stream. So we do have a 6% vacancy. So this building doesn't have vacancy as it stands, but we still have a modeled vacancy that goes onto the income stream. That's 6% for that property type. We then have a 3% expense ratio that goes on to this income stream. And then we have an $8 shortfall per square foot, which brings us to a net operating income of $28,901, which we then applied a cap rate of 5.7%, which gives us the final value of $507,000. So I hope that can describe to you how we valued the subway at $507,000. If there's a difference of opinion on the assessed value, you know, you're welcome to your opinion, and this is the department's opinion on what the value should be, but I just wanted to run you through how we come to that value.
Oh, I understand. And then 507 along with the assessment of 326 would take us to the 833, right?
Yep.
It's just, I do feel, and that's why I'm going to present, on my side, that it's a high evaluation, especially based on location and some of the components that have happened to the building as well. Then the other piece is, I'm sorry?
You're definitely within your right to have your opinion on that, for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's all I'm trying to do, right? Is state, some facts so that I can
for sure
open your eyes to what the situation actually is with this property.
For
so with the also with the other side, we're talking about my apologies, an 870 square foot area, which is extremely hard to rent, and basements are ridiculously hard to rent. Like I wish I could rent a basement. Essentially, the basement is being used for some subway storage, right? They just have overflow, and instead of blocking the emergency exit, we allow them to put into the basement for safety reasons. But that, how does, to me, $325,000 value for an 807 square foot area. Also, it seems to be an extremely high evaluation. And granted, I understand that you're going as per the charts, but in this situation, it's not applicable. It can't be a realistic value, especially when you consider just down the road that many of the full buildings, which are larger than this building, are selling for ballpark just over that price. So, and I know.
Okay. Can you get to some questions? You'll have an opportunity to make your presentation in a few minutes.
Yeah, I apologize. So no, he's outlined everything. I understand where he's coming from. I will hand it to you, Mr. Chairman, so I can present my side.
Okay, thank you. Now, Robert, do you have any questions of the assessor?
No questions of the assessor.
Okay, Faye, do you have any questions of the assessor?
I think I know the answer, but we didn't get any lease information on the non-subway tenant, correct? So it's all just model driven?
Yep, that's correct. It's all model driven for the second. We actually don't have any information as well. So if I can direct again your attention to page 15 of my brief, you'll notice that even on our income and expense mailer that we received, we only have one tenant listed, so we don't have any information on this. So there's no way to be able to tell what they're receiving or not for their leases. We're just going, that's all model driven.
That's what I figured. I just thought I'd confirm that you hadn't gotten any other information. That's my only question. Thank you.
Okay, I guess I got a question on the cap rate for the subway. Where can I find what the cap rate in your tables here?
So again, this is always the bane of my of my presentations here with my briefs. But if you look under the retail section on page 11, we actually we have regional, we have power center and neighborhood shopping centers, and we have strip malls. So we actually don't have a restaurant table there showing a restaurant rate. These are just the three property types that we have that in our brief. So I don't even have access to that information myself here. And I've been in contact with some of the certain parts of the department to see if we can start to generate those, just so I can have something to refer to as well. But as it stands, I don't have that. So the closest it would be the strip mall in terms of the property types there, commercial retail stores, and I guess restaurants in this scenario being just underneath that. And so we have our 20th and 80th percentiles from 6 to 6.8% for strip malls. Restaurants, I have seen them for this cycle within the range that the subway is being listed for. So for myself in my review, I didn't see anything that seemed too low on it, but that could be a place to look at for sure.
Okay. Now, secondly, do you know what the basement is used for? Is it all usable space? Is it finished? Is it what's the nature of the basement?
So for myself, in the brief that was submitted from the applicant, I didn't see any information on the basement, so I couldn't see from the brief submitted. I do have some notes in my system here that had alluded to the use. I believe it does, as the applicant had stated, it is used to support the main floor operations on the restaurant side. But that's just from some of the notes that I looked at, and I didn't have a chance to inspect it, just based on the volume of appeals we're dealing with. So I was just going with the information that I had.
Okay, all right.
That would be a question for the
yeah, I was going to ask the same question of him as well.
Yep.
Now, in terms of the COVID supplemental questionnaire, it appears there has been some impact of COVID on this property. How does the city account for that impact?
Well, technically, we don't really have any tools to use to make any adjustments for COVID per se. So usually it depends on some of the reviews. There can be some cap rate adjustments at time if it seems merited. There's different ways to kind of account for that, but in terms of actual tools, we don't have any directive on a specific tool we can use or any kind of a cap rate adjustment per se. We don't have any sort of guidelines for that. So, but I did notice as well that it did seem from the COVID supplemental that there was some impact over the pandemic. So that could be something to look at as well.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Now, Mr. Appellant, you can give your presentation.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just as a, yes, so I'm, as stated, I'm here today so that, yeah, I can provide information here